A Vadagar Pact is coming to Soulframe and bringing some pretty interesting virtue changes with it. We got a peek at how it works during this year's TennoLive gameplay demo at TennoCon, and of course I asked some questions, so here's what I found out about how it's going to work. It looks like we're going to acquire the new Vadagar Pact as part of Warsongs, a new fable that will reveal our envoy's past. What we saw of the fable during the TennoLive gameplay demo was only about half of what we'll be getting in-game, so I imagine some of the questions I have after watching will be answered in the full version. That said, I would not be surprised if some of the things remain mysteries to be unraveled in future fables. This is Tempest Bayor, an envoy who chooses to work with the Ode. Why he makes that choice is still unclear, but his eyes tell us that he is not under the effects of the spell song, the musical magic that forces the inhabitants of Midrath to cooperate with the Ode. Whether or not we are related to Bayor is also still unclear. He calls Synod father, and the Inquisitor we see here reminded us that we are a family in the game's opening cinematic, but I'm not sure whether those are actual family relations or merely titles meant to elicit loyalty. Either way, Synod tells Bayor he needs blue blood, that is, Fey blood, and we envoys are at least part if not fully Fey. What Synod plans to do with this blue blood is not revealed, but he seems to think he can acquire it if Bayor reminds us of our past. So, presumably, Bayor plants this stored in a statue, and picking it up launches us into a trip down memory lane where we learn more about who we are. Now, I've already got a Fey lore video cooking, so I'm going to leave those bits out for now, including my theory about Scarlet Arms and the significance of the dialogue between Grandpa and Bayor. For now, we just need to know that using our envoy powers to heal comes at the cost of a portion of our soul, which seems to be how we can forget ourselves and become a hollow frame. We didn't see in the demo what we might have done that cost us our soul, but this still explains our amnesia as well as the meaning of Soulframe's name. As Warsongs continues, we get to play as our mother fighting the Ode and see her attempt to resist the spell song. When she feels herself on the edge of being taken over, she attempts to end her life, but we do not actually see the moment of her death, and it's unclear if this vision of Mother taken over by the spell song is just one of Bayor's nightmares or a future chapter of the story we haven't seen yet. She is dead, though, or at least Bayor wants us to think she is. It's not at all clear to me that Bayor is actually aligned with the Ode, or how consigning us to Vadagar Ichor would give Synod the blue blood he needs. It seems more likely that Bayor is constantly resisting the spell song, hence his complaints about its sound, and is instead faithful to Allura, who may herself be working with the Ode. Allura is as neutral as nature itself, both tender and savage in turn, and ultimately faithful to her own survival. It is entirely unclear that she is actually a prisoner of the Ode rather than acting as bait for the envoy, but perhaps the rest of Warsongs will help answer that question. At the end of the gameplay demo, we saw our envoy traveling up to the Sky Castle in an attempt to rescue her, so presumably we will be learning more about this delightful character in the full version of the fable. All that already gives us a ton to look forward to lore-wise, but let's take a closer look at Vadagar, the new Pact. As soon as we equip Vadagar, our virtue triangle gets inverted and the virtues are replaced with Vespers. Courage becomes wrath, spirit becomes death, and grace becomes doom. They seem to function the same way our current virtues do, but the team did vaguely mention future virtue changes during the Devstream, so who knows what we'll see when this actually gets in-game. Vadagar's Pact Arcanics are Volt's Arc, which sends out Ichor boomerangs that you can explode on enemies, Zephyra's Tendril, which ensnares enemies and strips armor, and Osiraxi's Stampede, which summons what looks like Vadagar horses that leave Ichor pools behind that deal AoE damage. These did look pretty strong during the demo, but again, some kind of adjustment to virtues is coming, and this was a carefully curated demonstration, so I wouldn't assume that what we get in-game will be exactly the same as what we saw. I did get a chance to ask about the mechanics of switching between Vadagar and other pacts, because I was worried about long-term consequences for my envoy. Fortunately, the answer was a good one. Once we acquire Vadagar, we'll be able to equip it just like our other pacts. Virtues turn into Vespers when we have it on, and then turn back into virtues when we take it off. The interplay between virtues and Vespers is not meant to be a strict good and evil divide, but rather something closer to the natural duality in all wild things. Vitality becomes vicious when survival is on the line. Life and death exist in an eternal balance of growth and decay. The swift pounce that feeds a predator spells doom for its prey. Wait, did I just rhyme? I feel like I channeled Sydney for a second. Anyway, all of this looks fantastic, and I can't wait to try it out when Warsongs gets to game this fall-ish. So my guess is late November at the earliest. I did notice that there was no prelude attached to Warsongs, but the explanation I got for this is that there will be more preludes between now and then, so the team isn't yet certain exactly where we'll be by the time Warsongs gets here. We do need to help our wolf pup grow up before Warsongs, so we can expect at least one prelude between now and then, if not more. And hopefully those legendary crafting changes that will let us customize tempers are on the way soon, because my inventory is swiftly filling up with bows to give to Volcane. If you enjoyed this TennoLive recap, please give it a like and make sure you're subscribed because I've got some very special videos on the way. What was your favorite part of the TennoCon Soulframe streams? Let me know in the comments, and until next time, happy hunting!